Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course from New Earth One Network. This is designed exclusively for your higher self connection and embodiment. Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course. We are excited to be back with Jules Arnes because we are talking about unlocking the codes of the future. And there's a new technique, a tool rather, that allows us to feel into the universal grid. Let's welcome Jules Arnes back to this platform. Hi, Jules, welcome.
Hi, Lauren. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
It is great to see you, and the tools that you bring forward are New Earth tools. We love them. You get them from your higher guidance and your team, your multidimensional team. And so this is very interesting. Tell us what's going on here with the evolution journey cards.
Yes, so they're the evolution journey cards. They are a card deck that have 33 different cards, and that each card has its own, you could say, message behind it. And I feel like it's important to just kind of step back a little bit into, why it comes through numbers, because the evolution journey cards are based on numbers. So it's the 1 to 33, or you can say 33 cards. At about in 2015, I've always been really attracted to numerology and just reading frequency in that way. And in 2015, when my best friend passed away, and a lot of you kind of have heard that story before, but I started communicating with kind of my soul family by tracing his frequency to a certain place where I was initiated into what I now call the Council of Light. Now the Council of Light is more inside of me. I don't really go anywhere to have communication anymore. But the way that I was communicated to in the beginning, and I would say I still am now, that I read universal frequencies through equations. And so I kind of took it from numerology to actually speaking through numbers and being able to communicate through numbers. And what I found is that those numbers have very specific frequencies, and that those frequencies have an intelligence. And just like us communicating through words, it's very, very specific. And when you can think of connecting words, so if you just have one word, let's say it's wow, and then you add wow, she's beautiful, it has a completely different meaning. And that's what I found with the numbers, is that when they start to be linked together, that they create more of like a sentence, and that those sentences are way more specific than words, because the frequency behind a number is very clear, you could say. And what I also love about using numbers is that there's not a lot of room for judgment around a word. Like some people will have a word said and they immediately kind of pull back because that they have created some sort of belief system around it. And that's not really true with numbers. They're just more pure and I'm just going to say that word specific again. They're very specific. There's not a lot of room for belief systems and judgments around words, unless we let the ego come in. And then I guess we can do that with anything, I guess, if we really try, but less so than there is with words. So when I started to use the equations, a lot of people know that one of my modalities that I do is called ohm codes, and that's activating the DNA technology to basically move the cell or the body into a frequency of expression versus reflection. And I'm also going to just go into this just a little bit because I think it's important to know just how powerful doing these readings is. So what I found was that when our bodies are holding expression versus reflection, that we have the ability to, first of all, manifest at a higher frequency. But we also give the body the ability to bypass turning on those epigenetic codes, because right now, the way we're all kind of living our lives is in this place of reflection, meaning that our thoughts will kind of tell our body what the environment or what our experience is. And you can even put this into a space of the collective. So if the collective is experiencing this and we're moving outside to find out what's going on, and then we're bringing that information back into our experience, we are basically agreeing with the frequency of what's already been created. Whether it's good or bad is the ego's judgment of it, but it's still what I call it creating form with form, or agreeing with form, meaning that we're using our own programming to go out, receive information, bring that information back, download it into our body, and then we have that experience. The new human experience is the ability to hold expression, meaning to tap into our DNA technology, turn on a frequency pattern, and allow that frequency to be expressed outwards to where we're no longer looking for reflection, because the information that we need is already inside of us. There's no need to go outside to find that. And when we can turn on that technology and start to express through that space, we change the very environment of our body. Well, guess where our consciousness exists? In our body. So then what happens is that our consciousness will start to vibrate in the frequency of that technology and start to see itself through the intelligence that it has, meaning that we're no longer looking for evidence in what's already been created, but we're actually in the creation of our own technology, or that divine technology that we're all here to be an expression of. And so the consciousness begins to attune to that frequency of intelligence, and then your thoughts start to move around it. You start to create a reality around it. You start to bypass limitations of what it is to be human, and also the limitations of what we've created in the reality of the collective. It's a very powerful place to move through. And so when we're having these readings and we're using the numbers, we're literally coding the DNA to turn on and express a certain frequency for your body to hold. And again, your body is the environment that your consciousness exists in. So it allows you to consciously begin to manifest your highest frequency that's in alignment with that divine technology of your future, just by changing the vibration on a cellular level. What I also love about this is that doing this on a cellular level or through coding bypasses the subconscious, but it also bypasses the mind wanting to get in the way of understanding something before it'll actually take action. Because when your body is holding, one of the best ways that I can describe this is, so right now your body is in reflection. And so depending on how high your thoughts are, but even the vibration of where you're living, matters. I mean, like you're in Costa Rica right now, Lauren, and I'm sure the vibration is just really beautiful. It's probably really different than it is in Boulder. And so you probably are having a different experience of what you're thinking and what you're creating just by the environment that you're in. Well, the same is true with the environment that we create within our own bodies. So if we go to, I love this example. Let's say we go to a retreat and it's a really high vibrational retreat. And by the end of the retreat, we are starting to think about all the things that we're going to manifest and things are going to change in our lives. And we're having these thoughts and we're connected to spirit and we're in our best. We're at our highest potential. And we've peaked, we peak to that frequency as high as that we can hold it. And then we start to create thoughts and a reality around that. But then we leave the retreat and we go home, and let's say the environment at home isn't that great. And there's fighting, or there's this, or you're not in alignment with your partner. And then all of a sudden you lose the frequency of the retreat and you can't figure out how to get back there. Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So if we can actually attune the body to hold the frequency of the retreat, no matter where you go, your body is actually the beacon of your consciousness. And especially if you're able to hold the expression, your body's an expression, it doesn't matter what's going on in your reality because the body is in the expression of divine frequency and nothing can interrupt that. And that is how we can start to advance consciousness in a lot faster way. I'm not sure if that was correct in English, what I just said, but it shifts the consciousness in a faster way. So I'll let you just, if you have some questions around that, Lauren, like maybe give a little reflection and then we can move on.
Oh, wow. This is so exciting. The work that you're doing really in epigenetics. You are leading the cutting edge in this industry with the work that you're doing. You're blending it in. So we have this technology within us, and this is a tool that helps us hold a frequency. But how does that work? Is it like an oracle deck where a higher force or a higher aspect of ourself is, maybe our higher self is giving us exactly what we need through the cards or through those numbers that are presenting?
That is such a great question. So yes, I'm going to show you the back of the card. And for those of you that have done the Evo Star technology, so the symbol itself is holding the energetic pattern. So each part of the symbol actually codes a certain area. So one area is kind of the space of what you're holding frequency wise for yourself. And then the second one is giving you information on what reality is focusing back at you. So those first two cards are kind of showing you what you need to see in order to shift. So it's kind of reading the energetic code, you could say, of your DNA, the way it is right now, as you have kind of turned it on through that space of reflection or duality. And then the third space is the space where you start to open up the DNA itself. So that's the space where you invite the divine to come in and show you the frequency that you're not seeing, or you're not seeing in the frequency that you should be. So it's kind of like that place of, okay, I see this and I see this, but this is what I'm not seeing. And that's like opens it up. And once it's seen, you start to turn that frequency from being pulled in from outside to kind of, I call it turning it inside out. So then all of a sudden in that third symbol, it starts to turn. And then that's place, you're starting to code the frequency that's actually behind the code if it were turned on in expression and not reflection. So the symbol itself, and just by watching the cards, and this is what I love about all the stuff that I get, like everything that I get is through guidance, is that this was this is a divine creation, and is all I'm doing is what I'm told. It's just do this, do this, do this. It has nothing to do with me. It doesn't really even have anything to do with the cards. It's saying, I'm willing to look at this. I'm willing to hold this frequency with that technology and within me. And just by that agreement, it just starts to happen. And we did one certification course just a little while ago. And I feel like this always happens with me, is that I know this is cool. Like there's a part of me that's just like, God, this is so genius. There's just no way I could ever come up with this stuff. Like the divine is genius. But then I'll hold a reflection and I'll watch other people starting to do it, and they're reading it and they're being coded and they're coming back with ways that has changed their life, and I'm just getting chills by saying that. And I'm just like, this is so much better than I thought it was. Like, this is so much more than I thought it was. And that's where we all have the ability to tap into that divine genius that's within us. And as all this is doing is kind of holding the reflection of what's there, turning it on and allowing it to move into the expression. And you can feel it. I'll do a reading, a universal reading, and I'll let everybody watch the reading, because there's something about actually watching the cards come out and watching it in the symbol, and then just hearing the messages that's of the equation itself, that you start to activate just by being in the experience of it.
Yes, and the card that you showed, it looks like there's light language. Is that light language as well?
So the symbols that are on here, this is kind of a crazy story, but when I was about 5 years old, I started getting these symbols. They would come into kind of outside my field of vision. And when I was little, I'd actually take them and start and put them inside my head. Like that's and I would do it to help me fall asleep, because it just calmed me down. And so they've always been there. And now they're obviously within the evolution symbol itself. And you can see that the hydrogen atom is in the middle. So the hydrogen atom is that one space where we have, so you can see it like all of the symbols are recoding the DNA. Well, that hydrogen atom is the first element on the periodic table. I call it the element that went from, let's say, divine consciousness to form, and it's holding that frequency. So it has the ability to move from form to spirit, from form to spirit. And that's what's happening, is that we're basically taking our molecular technology that has the ability to shift from form to spirit. Because when we turn on and we truly move into expression, and our consciousness meets that expression, we won't be in the physical form that we experience now. We'll be very multidimensional. And that's what this symbol is all about, is the ability to go from form to spirit. And if we choose, from spirit to form. And I should add to that, without dying.
It really is assisting with embodiment on a DNA level. It's fascinating, very fascinating. So we are going to do a couple of universal readings. But if you were doing this one-on-one with someone, and we'll talk about the certification, this is great for all the healers and the New Earth leaders who want a tool to take out into the world. This helps them develop their own business, and that's very exciting. But what happens when you're doing a reading for an individual? What is revealed within that? Can you see, like, tell us more, like what do you see with individuals?
You'll get a good idea of it when I do the universal reading. But normally when somebody comes, and this is the perfect tool, I love that you you said, yes, you can start your own business with it, but it's also an amazing tool if you're already doing healing work or coaching work to kind of add to what you're already doing. And I do believe that one of the packages is that you don't actually have to do the certification program. I think the level or the first package, you can just get the cards and it comes with a workshop teaching you how to read for yourself. So you can actually start to code yourself if that's not of interest to you. But holding a reflection with another person is very, very powerful. So let's say you have somebody and they're coming in and they're doing some sort of healing process. Well, just like you always would, you ask if there's something that they're working on that they would like to shift in their life. And what's awesome about the cards is that it basically takes where they are now and the frequency of what their experience is now. And let's say their intention is to I don't know, start a new job because they don't like their job. They want to become an entrepreneur. So that you would take the frequency of where they're holding that now and then move through the symbol. And you're actually coding that their intention to, first of all, be in alignment with their divine technology and bringing it into the highest frequency of that pure essence of the technology. And so it starts to be turned on, but as it's turning on, you're reading the information that it has to give them. So first it's showing what they're holding right now that maybe they are not seeing, what they're not seeing, and then what they need to do in order to bring it into probability. So those last three spaces, one is the co-creation. So it's the energy of co-creation so that it gives them a tool or something to use in order to stay in the frequency that's being created. Then it moves into particles of possibility and you're reading, okay, this is the possibility, like this is your highest potential. And you can give them the possibility of what's going to move into probability. And then of course, probability is more of that action step. So it gives that kind of momentum of pushing the frequency into that expression, but giving them something to move into consciously so that they can see it in a way that they weren't able to see it before. So there is information in the reading. It's much more abstract than maybe doing like an oracle reading or something like that, because you are reading universal language. And what I hear a lot is, first of all, I would say every single reading I've ever done, the feedback I get is this is so much better than I thought it was going to be because you can feel it, like you can feel yourself activating. And that is the difference, is that you're actually being coded and activated in a way that you just don't get in other processes.
Coding ourselves for our highest potential. And this is where New Earth leaders can really make an impact because it's their own frequency that we are creating. I love how you explain that. Wow. So let's do an experience here to get a feel of these cards and coding ourselves. So we can literally, what you're about to do is coding all of us, and we all accept it in our own unique way.
So
Okay.
before I lay out the cards here, and I'm going to shift the computer so that you can see them. But what I would say is have an intention. So bring an intention into your heart space, and I'll do a little opening just like I would if you were here with me doing the reading, or, of course it would be online, but let me just see if there's anything else that will be helpful before I turn the computer. I'll do the reading and then I'll just bring it back and we can kind of talk more about it. So just give me a second as I rearrange a few things here. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. All right, so go ahead and just bring your intention and bring it into your heart space. And we'll go ahead and just attune the body to receive the codes. So if you would like to go ahead and start with breathing in a white blue light, allowing it to trace along the brain, moving the light down through the spine and then out through the mouth. And this light holds divine intelligence. So we're activating that frequency that your brain is floating in, the fluid that your brain is floating in. And then we'll activate that spinal column. And then in your next breath, just allowing the light to move into your heart space, meeting your intention. As your heart and your mind are fully activated and attuned to the divine intelligence. All right, so the first card that we'll be pulling is the frequency of what you're holding now. So this is the frequency that you're aware that you're holding. And if you're not aware, it's just right under the surface. And because this is a more of a universal reading, know that whatever part of this resonates with you is the part that you take away. But to also receive it in an alignment with your intention. So this place that's being held right now is the frequency of a very high level foundation. This is the mastery level of, okay, I love this. So this is the place where your foundation is actually in the change itself. You know, at the lower levels of consciousness, we feel as though we need to have something to stand on, that step by step. We need to know what the outcome is going to be. This is the ability to kind of exist in more of that abstract frequency, but still feel very stabilized and not knowing what's moving forward, because you have practiced the ability to kind of trust in the unknown enough that it feels more comfortable than it ever has before. So the ability to stand in that unknown space or hold it for longer periods of time has been mastered. And this is a beauty. So we have a lot of very high frequency people listening to this. I may go back to this, but I want to go ahead and move into the reflection piece. So what the universe is reflecting back from this, the ability to stay in abstract as the foundation. And I love that this is the next card, is that you have the ability to see when things are starting to shift, and you're able to kind of awaken to exactly what's behind that energy. So whatever your intention is, if I was to put this to intention, the information that's coming through so far is that you know that there's a shift that's happening. And instead of being in resistance, you're fully surrendering to the shift. And the universe in that is showing you everything that needs to change. And you're able to adapt to that change without resistance. And the other part of this is that you're really waking up to the parts of whatever it is around your intention that do need to shift, that maybe you're seeing now things that you weren't seeing before. Give me one moment. Let me just see if there's anything else here. I'm going to leave it at that, and we'll see what keeps coming through. All right, so this next card is the frequency of what you're either seeing in the wrong frequency, or it's something that you're not seeing yet. And this is that kind of divine message. So far, everything that we've read has been in form. Now we're starting to shift to turn on the DNA to moving everything into expression. And this is actually one of my favorite cards. So this is the embodiment level of creation. So it's the ability to receive guidance and then bring that guidance into momentum or a frequency. What's being shown here is that you can't make a wrong decision. It's oh my gosh, I just love this. This is what's coming to me. So the way we make decisions right now, a lot of times will be that we kind of look at it from every angle. We may research different ways of doing it. We'll go back and forth on what we're going to choose. But when it all comes down to it, we end up with the one decision. And that whole process that it took for us to get to the decision really didn't matter, because what we were going to decide was already decided. And is all we're doing is like kind of entertaining the ego to get there. That's what this card is kind of saying, is that don't get wrapped up in all of the story behind moving into this, your intention, because the intention is already in creation. And it's okay to just know that whatever you decide is the right answer. But I'm also going to say that this card is saying that the right answer is always the heart's answer. So what the divine is saying right here is just take a moment to tap into that divine yes or the divine no. And if you can start to make your decisions based in that space, you will not fail ever. And this is saying that from that space, it may feel like you're going everywhere, and it may feel like things have a lot of momentum, but nothing's really being shown yet. But to let it just be what it is, because you started it from that divine yes, and it's only a matter of time before it breaks the surface. Okay, let's move on. This is the space where this is that first space of co-creation. So now we're starting to turn on the technology. And we're turning on the technology. Oh my gosh, this is really beautiful. So this is about soul family. This is about, I'm going to guess that there's some people listening to this that are in this space where they're ready to kind of connect to others that are on a spiritual path, that are ready to step into their highest potential. This is that card where you're not doing this alone. And if you're feeling as though you need to attract people that are in reflection of the frequency that you're holding, just ask for it. And every time that you're starting to struggle or to feel like your reflection isn't being met, just ask for it, because the divine wants to bring in this place of your technology that's starting to turn on, is activating your bloodline that's going to start to attract the people that are going to be in resonance with that. This is kind of that key code that gets turned on to where you start to attract soul family. This can be soul family in physical form, but it also can be soul family as members of kind of your conscious tribe that allows you to kind of merge with that intelligence that's already within you. This is the card of remembering. It's the card of remembering your mastery. And let me see if there's something else with this. How you could bring this into action, because it is in the co-creation space, is when you're feeling kind of lost or that the guidance isn't quite clear, just allow yourself to move back into your heart space. And I would even take it a step further and allow your consciousness to actually move into the bloodstream itself, because in the blood is where your kind of lifeline to this DNA technology will start to really amplify in the beginning before it moves from carbon to light. So merging your consciousness with the blood, meaning actually let your consciousness move into the heart, into the bloodstream, and then allow it to release and just see what information comes through. When you're able to kind of tap into this place and just receive the information that's there, it keeps you from wanting to go outside of yourself to find the answers. This card is saying you're already in your ascended bloodline. Everything you need to know is there. It's just attuning to the frequency, in this case of your blood, in order to find the information. Okay, so then we're going to move to Particles of Possibility, another one of my favorite cards. Okay, so the Particles of Possibility, this is that space of moving into that mastery level of receiving information. So I love that this card was here. And then we just are kind of confirming that it is time to, it's really time to trust that you know what you need to know, and everything that, another way of saying this is that you've done your work. You've done your work. Like, this is giving you permission to know that you are in your ascended bloodline. The information of the mastery is right there. So stop looking for reasons why you can't actually just step into this space. And I love this card because it almost looks kind of like a time machine. It's just time to move into the space where you are, and to be really honest about where maybe you're holding yourself back because you're afraid to step into your true power. Because this card is saying that whatever information that you're needing, you literally can just attune to it within your own body, move into the expression of that, and allow it to move into your reality. Because this is in Particles of Possibility, know that this is your potential. This is that place where you have the potential. Your highest potential is to be in the mastery of basically the technology that you already have. It's learning to turn it on and express it, and then move your consciousness into the intelligence of it. I'm going to say something about possibilities, and that is that possibilities are always going to be possibilities unless we take action. And that's what's going to bring in the probability. And so let's see what the probability is. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm just getting chills. Mastery. So the probability is by reading your bloodline, the ascended bloodline, the information, attuning to the blood, attuning to your divine technology, and you are being turned on right now into the mastery level. You are in this space where you're already here to be a master. It's just time to turn it on and to trust it. It's to trust that place that you have everything that you need inside of you. I don't know where your guys' intentions are in this, but this is coding your intention to the mastery level. This is mind, body, spirit. This is the ability to be in Christ consciousness, to create from that space, and then embody it in every single level. Okay, so let's go ahead and code you now to this frequency. So go ahead and just place your hands on your heart and just take in a deep breath. And we'll go ahead and go into the universal master cell. And we're going to turn on the code 4, 5, 3, 6, 7, 33. We'll allow that to move into the expression as it downloads into the frequency patterns of the mind and of the heart, attuning the body to hold this expression, bringing it into a reality of your highest future pattern. And just taking in one more deep breath as that fully moves through the body. And then we say, thank you. I love you. It is done. And it is done.
Wow, that is really amazing, because folks who are watching or listening to this are totally new earth leaders. And wow, what a confirmation that we are at that mastery level. Really very cool.
Isn't it fun? I just love it.
I am elated right now. I hope everyone is feeling this, because Doubt doubt is out. Doubt,
Oh, I
right?
love that.
That just came. Doubt is out. There's no, and there's such a confidence with it. I'm like elated right now.
I love that. You know what I love about what you just said is that it all starts with this place of being able to master foundation and unknown frequency, because this is the hardest place to get to. And in order to create the new earth, this has to be our foundation, right? Because we can't create from what's already been created. We're creating the new. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, there's some masters definitely watching this, because that's not, I don't know that I've ever gotten this card as the first card.
Hey, that really does say something about the audience here. And I just want to take a moment to thank everyone because wow, we're doing it. Okay. Well, I love it. And I know it's different for everyone. So, like, if you had I mean, it would be different. That's where the readings come from. And this one for our group was wonderful. So, other numbers would bring a completely different reading. So this one was cool.
Yeah. And, and I did this one just so it wasn't super long, because they normally last about a half hour.
Okay.
And so normally I would go and I would actually connect the cards together a little bit more. So it'd be like, well, if this is what, then I would connect it to the card before and then see the future. And I'd even do some diagonal reading, because they all have something to say each other. I call it like reading the reflection of the cards itself, because I'm so sorry. It's I call it the 1 to the 2 to the 3 to the 1. So when you have one card, it's just holding one frequency. But then when you pull another card, that frequency is showing more information that maybe wasn't there before. And so that allows another frequency to come through, which is that divine intelligence that you use reflection for, and then it kind of moves to a peak, and then it moves into a space of oneness. But that's how we all can use reflection right now until we move into full expression. It's not about agreeing to what we see. It's about, what is the divine showing me so that I can see something I wasn't seeing before, in order to raise my consciousness beyond what's being seen. And so I call it divine. That's the difference between divine reflection and then just, you could say, collective reflection, just that lower vibrational reflection, to where we're actually meeting the frequency of what we're seeing.
Well, this is very cool. And I would like to have you share a little bit more on what we can do, each of us individually, now that we've had this reading, and it's very empowering, time to trust that what we know, we know. I mean, that was a good one. So with those 5 numbers that you drew, 31, 5, 12, 24, 25, and 33, how do we express this now? Is there anything that we need to do? You said that these codes are activating within us. And you also mentioned going into the blood. That was very interesting. Can you expand on that a little more?
Sure. Yeah. So, the blood came through with this card here. And because this is this is that place of embodiment to mastery. What that means is that it's not something you're thinking about anymore. Like, you're in this space where your bloodline, and what I mean by that is basically your DNA, like that technology, but it's flowing through your body. And what I love about using the blood is that it's liquid. It's already shifting and moving, but it's also moving throughout your entire body, and it comes from your heart space. So it's consistently being filtered through that frequency. And so it's the place where we can go to kind of connect to the highest frequency of what we're able to hold right now. But then when we're moving into the ascended part of it, because it's in this level, you already know this. Like, you're not thinking about it anymore. You know when you're in your heart, and you know when you're not. And it's not this place of trying to figure that out anymore, because the intellect can't take you there. So once you've embodied it, you know what you know. It's just whether or not you want to trust it. And that's what that 7 was saying, is like, it's time to just trust it, because the information that you're looking for, you may find it through a divine reflection, which I hope some of you got from this reading. Unless you're taking it from that space of, okay, divine, show me. I may not be seeing it right now, so show me what it is. And then you may get the sign to where it kind of activates. And we all have it happen. We have that like little activation or that download where we're like, now I get it. Now I get it. Well, you just tapped into the frequency of that intelligence that's already in you, and your consciousness finally hit that frequency. And then you were able to receive the information from outside of what's already been created and formed. That's how we all have the ability to remember.
Beautiful. I absolutely love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And again, what a magnificent reading for our collective group. It definitely is a group of masters. And I know that sometimes the masters need the reminding of this process of the trust and of what we know within ourselves. The way that people can work with this in the courses that you teach, you said you've got a couple of things where people can do this reading for themselves, and talk a little bit about this, and also the way that people can take it into the world and offer it as a service. But if we're doing this, wow, we can literally hold a vibration. This, again, it's about holding a vibration, and this helps us attune to that vibration. So we are, let's see, impeccable. It's an impeccability.
I love that. Yes. And it is, when we're doing it on a daily basis, what I also love about it is that it's abstract enough that I love teaching through abstract, because when you tell somebody, oh, it is this way, the intellect wants to come in and create an identity around it. And then you've just limited yourself to that truth. But when we deliver information in abstract through numbers and frequency, just like what we just did, turning on that intelligence that's in you, your body starts to attune to that intelligence until your consciousness can catch up. And we all have that experience when we have those kind of like downloads and we get it. This is just attuning the body so that it's holding all the information for you until your consciousness can meet it. And so it's kind of doing it the opposite way, but it bypasses the intellect altogether, because the intellect isn't going to get us there. It's impossible. It's the intelligence within us that will get us there. And there's a difference between intelligence and consciousness. So we use our consciousness to tap into an intelligence until we don't need to be conscious of that intelligence. Because if you think about an intelligence in full expression, there's no, let's say it's the pure essence, that divine intelligence, there's no need for consciousness anymore, because we're in the purest form of, if you even want to put the word thought there, that we don't need to be in observation of our thought anymore. We're just in the expression of that frequency. That's what these cards are doing when you're doing them on a daily basis, is that it's coding your body to turn on 100% potential of that intelligence. And then you get to go into your life and see how that shows up. And that's how we can use that divine reflection to see information that we weren't seeing before, because we're starting to attune our reality to match the frequency of that technology being turned on, until we fully move into that frequency consciously to where we're just the intelligence. So how do you use this on a daily basis? I mean, I have people that'll use it if they're just in a panic, if they're just having, one of their meltdown moments, and they're just like, I need to get out of this frequency. They'll just pull out the cards they'll do the reading, and by the end of the reading, they're fully back into alignment with their divine, and they go conquer whatever it is that they need to. That's one way I get a lot of feedback that people use it that way. I have people that are just using it because they want to learn to read universal equations, and they start to tap into that intelligence, because we all are there here to do that. Like, that is the universal language. So they're learning how to use frequency to read universal language. And then at the same time, they're activating their highest potential. And then if there's a decision to be made, like where is this bringing me? And so it brings you to a place where you're in alignment with that divine yes or no. I think that can be so powerful for people to really start to live their lives from a divine yes or a divine no. It takes away all doubt, because if it's a divine yes, it's divine yes. There is no maybe in that. And then, of course, bringing it into a place where you're holding it in reflection with a client. It's just so magical to see what it does for people, and just the way they light up, and those codes are turned on, and you can see this shift in their brains, and they start to move into these frequencies, and it's just so different. There's just not really anything out there like that. It's a very unique experience.
Yes, it's oracle cards for the DNA, for a frequency. It's and I don't even know if we want to even use oracle cards, but it's numerology. It's very interesting. I love what you said about the universal equations and the way that the numbers match up. So this is really fascinating for those who, gosh, want to use it in their own life to work the embodiment frequencies of ascension. Truly, that's what this is. It's ascension frequencies for embodiment. Yeah.
And those of you that enjoy numbers, for me, when I was in school, even to this day, like, I am not a math person. I even have dyslexia with numbers. And so when I started getting communication through equations, I was just like, oh my gosh, why are they communicating to me in this way? But what I found is that all of the ways that numbers work together in the equations themselves, I mean, I've gotten some of the most high level information that I've ever had through guidance through equation. And sometimes I'll get the equation and I won't understand it at first, but I'll keep coding myself to it. And then what ends up happening, just like with these cards, is that my body holds the frequency of what that intelligence is saying. And then my consciousness will hit it. And then all of a sudden I'll get it. And I'll just be like, wow. I mean, this is so high level that there's just no way. Like, there's no way they could communicate it in words and have the same impact as turning on the intelligence in my own technology to be able to consciously understand it. It's a whole new way of receiving information, because the body is actually holding that intelligence before the mind.
Well, the mind helps us understand it. And when you say working with the coding, so for our reading that we received today as our collective group, what would we need to do to continue to work with these codes?
So you could just look at the numbers, but I would even, at this point, the frequency is turned on in you. So now it's more about exploring that frequency that was turned on. So it's recognizing, am I, in each moment, especially around whatever your intention is am I willing to stay in that abstract frequency and create a foundation here? So it's just, reconnecting to what the message was here. Am I seeing what needs to change? Am I being willing to see it right now? And then that space of, okay, because I've seen it, am I willing to move forward with the guidance that I'm getting? And if I'm not, what's getting in the way? And then if you're needing support, just ask for it. Say, okay, I need, I bring in my soul tribe to, collaboration is such a huge thing right now. like bring in my soul tribe to help me bring this into form, or bring in my spirit guides to help me bring this into form. Whatever it is, it's that place of collaboration. And so where in my life am I maybe pushing away collaboration, and why? Or, where in my life, do I need to like say yes to somebody to start the collaboration? So that's kind of the information. And then of course, with that 7, it's knowing that you already have the answer. So if you're waiting for somebody else to tell you what to do in order to move forward, you're not doing it right. You know the answer. So it's that place of turning that inside out and knowing, even if you're like, I'm going to start a business and I don't know anything about business, you're actually in a better spot than people that think they know about business, because you're going to create a new earth business. And so everything that you're going to be guided to do is going to be from inside of you. You don't go take what somebody else is doing and make it your own, because you're uniquely here to create your own space around what that is. The divine is your business. The divine, I have that saying that the divine is the CEO of my company, because everything is from that space. And some people are like, oh my gosh, you're crazy. What are you doing? What I'm told, just like you would if you had a boss. And then of course, the last place is knowing that you're already in the mastery. It's in the probability. So if you're able to hold this frequency and choose this frequency, whatever it is that you're in creation is going to be so much better than what you thought it was. You just have to say yes to that guidance that's in you.
Wow, isn't that wonderful? That is so powerful. Thank you for going over that. And so, okay, so what you're doing is with each of those cards is you're reducing the number to a single digit, except if it's a master number, right? Like, do you have 11 and 2, 2 and 3, 3? Okay, so our numbers 4, 5, 3, 6, 7, and 3, 3. I get that now.
Yes.
So we are reflecting with those numbers 1 through 9 and the master numbers.
Yes. Yes. And then when you go to like a 13, that would be the embodiment level of the 4. And then the 31 is the mastery level of the 4. So depending on what the numbers are that you're breaking down will depend on whether it's in the mind, in the body, or in mastery. So you can kind of see at that point what the number is saying. And of course, where it shows up on the symbol also matters too, because it's going to have, like, if this was in the last place, it would mean that this is the probability of what you would be starting, is the ability to stay in abstract frequency without foundation. But this is where you started. So it only makes sense that you ended up in mastery, because that's definitely needed to do that.
Yeah, that's really cool. Again, what a wonderful reading and a wonderful tool for our new earth leaders out there to begin to share this with the world. All right, so the options again we'll review as one for the personal. Is there anything else that you wanted to add about these, or the certification course for healers?
Right. So yeah, of course, the first one is just for yourself. So the certification is a legal certification. Actually, the attorney that drew up the certification, whatever legalities of it, was the same one that did it for Doreen Virtue's angel cards. And so it is an actual legal certification. You'll get a certificate, of course, but you'll also have a legal contract that certifies you as we call it an evolution coder. So you're not actually called a reader, you're a coder, because you're actually coding as you're reading. So it's kind of fun, a little different title there. And it's a 4-week course, and you'll have a lot of practice. You'll learn different kinds of readings. This was the basic reading that I did today, but there's 3 other readings that you'll learn as well that are kind of more in depth, or just they're really fun.
Really exciting. Thank you so much for bringing this forward and creating a world of evolution coders. That sounds remarkable. Yes. And I know that there's many who are excited for this. And again, it's a great way to assist in the ascension process with these frequencies that allow people to tap into the intelligence that's already within them.
Mm.
Turn on the DNA, turn on the frequencies to express. Wow, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to share today?
Not really. I just thank you for allowing me to share this. And it's always about the people that are called to do the work are the ones that are lighting up right now. And if you're lighting up in any way, just, listen and sit with that, because you have the answer inside of you. Like if it's a divine yes, definitely invite you into the experience. And I can tell you it is magical. It is just one of those spaces where when we tap into this more abstract way of attuning to frequency, it opens us up to what I call the miracle pattern. And that miracle pattern is that collaboration. It's that fourth level of consciousness where you're listening and you're doing, or you're in the creation and the creator at the same time. And that's new earth frequency. And this is just another way of getting there. It's just another tool that we can offer for ourselves and for our clients.
Yes, really wonderful. New earth is a frequency, and we are working with the frequencies of numbers that hold information and great insight into our greatest 100% potential. Thank you so much, Jules, Arnes, for this time today and your tremendous work on our planet. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren.
The link for this course is right here on this webpage, and we're excited, so check it out. And thank you all for the light that you share in the world and the evolution of humanity and the evolution of love. Thank you, Jules. Thank you, everyone. Namaste.
This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.